What's up, guys? Miss Pass here, back with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes roster review video, and this time I am addressing one of the characters I have had 7 stars on my roster since before I even started making YouTube videos over a year ago, and that is Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious used to be the king of arenas back in the day, and that was largely due in part to the fact that he was so fast and his health replenishment. He was able to replenish his own health at enormous rates with the death of enemies and allies. His potency was about the only thing that really wasn't that great about him, but that's largely been addressed by the higher gear levels. His physical crit chance, however, was one of the things that really set him apart in a positive light. Another thing that really set him apart from the other characters in the game when he was so powerful at the very beginning of the game was his leader ability, and that was the fact that there weren't really any other leader abilities like his that affected everybody in his party. Now, you're seeing right here that a lot of the gear pieces that he gets at gear 11 address his largest weaknesses, and those are the pieces that give potency and strength. I gotta give props to the developers for really addressing the power creep. I know that was one of the biggest concerns with the game about mid-end of the year, probably around fall of last year, where all these new characters were being added to the game and the power creep was real. His basic attack is Deathstroke. It deals physical damage to target enemy and inflicts healing immunity for 3 turns with a 50% chance doubled to 100% if the target is debuffed already, to ignore defense. Now, this is the Omega level, obviously, so without the Omega, you're not going to get the armor penetration as consistently, but you will still get the 100% healing immunity applied. Demoralizing Blows is his special ability, and it deals physical damage to all enemies and inflicts damage over time and expose for 2 turns. This attack inflicts 2 additional damage over time effects on a critical hit. This is why you want to stack crit damage on your Sidious, because getting those extra dots is great, especially under a Zeta Darth Vader lead. His leader ability is unlimited power, and like I said, guys, this was one of the things that really made him such a great leader at the early levels of the game. Unlimited power. All allies gain 15% critical chance and 30% critical damage. All Sith allies gain 2% offense until the end of battle when they score a critical hit, which means it just keeps on stacking, guys. His abilities are really awesome. Sadistic Glee is his unique, and this is the ability that can be Zeta'd, and when Zeta'd is super freaking awesome, guys. This is what really makes Sidious incredible, is the Zeta here. And Sadistic Glee, Darth Sidious recovers 20% of his max health and gains 50% turn meter whenever any enemy is defeated. Whenever any unit is defeated. In addition, he has plus 35% evasion against Jedi attacks, plus 50% potency, and gains max health equal to his potency percentage. Yeah. If you thought Darth Sidious was squishy, just Zeta him. Just give him the Zeta. I promise you will never complain about Darth Sidious ever being squishy ever again. And then with the potency, I mean, you saw with mods you can get his potency easy up to 70-75%. And when you do that, oh my gosh, his health just shoots through the roof, guys. He is farmable from the Squad Arena store and then obviously from Chromium packs, but honestly, if you plan on giving him his Zeta, you will not regret it, I promise. He actually hits pretty hard now. One of the big things that they did with the Sith Faction pass when Darth Nihilus was released was they boosted his damage just a tiny bit. Darth Sidious is pretty awesome now. The expose on his Omega on his special attack is another addition that was made with the Sith Faction Pass, and I'm telling you guys, Darth Sidious is real. He used to be completely irrelevant. He really wasn't even... You wouldn't see him anywhere at all. I mean, you might see him on a Galactic War Squad, but you wouldn't ever see him really in any other aspect of the game prior to the Sith Faction Pass, prior to him actually having a Zeta, because the power creep, like I said, the power creep really made a lot of characters that were great at the beginning of this game irrelevant. And Darth Sidious, unfortunately, was among one of those characters who kind of fell victim to the power creep. Well, like I said, the devs did an amazing job of addressing power creep by tweaking the gear required at max gear, at gear 11, for characters when they raised the level cap to level 85. As many of you might remember if you played the game before level 85, that a lot of characters, I mean, the gear that they got up to gear 10 really didn't address their weaknesses much. Darth Sidious, at gear 11, all his gear addresses his weakness. You saw the Mark 7 security scanner. That thing obviously gives 10% potency. I would have probably appreciated, maybe a couple pieces that gave the 6 and 8% potency to get just a little bit more potency out of gear 11. But honestly, I'm not, beggars can't be choosers, and I'll take the 10%, right? Because, hey, that's 10%, and with a Zeta, that's 10% health as well. Now, the one thing that is really, really awesome about Darth Sidious is that his Zeta is a unique. And if you've watched Smithie D's video on top 5 Zeta uniques, he rightly and justifiably so puts Darth Sidious up in his top 5. Now, he doesn't quite put him as high as I might rank him. I would probably rank Darth Sidious's unique probably in... Oh, man, I would probably put it in the top 2. But then again, I'm partial to Sith. So, I mean, looking in the big picture, there are probably some other Zetas. I know that Barris's Zeta is one of the better Zetas in the game because her Zeta doesn't really depend on the squad around her. It's very, very versatile. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very versatile. Darth Sidious is more of an offensive unique, and it really, really helps, guys. It's awesome. I do not regret giving Darth Sidious a Zeta for 1 second because, I mean, it's part of the nostalgia factor, really, for me, because, like I said, he used to be such a great character at the beginning of the game. He was one of my first 7-star characters, so being able to make him relevant again was awesome. I know that getting him up to gear 11 is a real big pain. It's a big gear... he's a very demanding character gear-wise, but he's very, very good. So, if you're thinking about it, and you are even hesitating slightly... hopefully this video helps you make that decision. Smithie D's video, if you're thinking about giving Darth Sidious a Zeta, Smithie D has a really good video on that helped me actually make it. Basically made my mind up for me, erased any hesitation I had in giving Darth Sidious his Zeta. So check out that video. I'll probably link that in the description below, and then also. With his rework came the expose on his special attack, and that is a big plus. That is actually irrelevant of the Zeta. I mean, obviously the Zeta will help get those exposes to stick, but that ability right there, the expose on the Zeta, will actually make Darth Sidious... It's what makes him so awesome right now, because if you have Zeta Finn, if you're working with resistance characters and use Zeta Finn, you will get immense amounts of turn meter for your squad if you're running Darth Sidious with a Zeta Finn. I know it's crazy, the combination there, but Darth Sidious is incredible on a Zeta resistance squad. So if you're also running resistance, Darth Sidious may actually be a really beneficial character for you to invest in because, like I said, all those exposes, you're going to benefit from it. So, other squads that Darth Sidious will obviously be useful and beneficial in are going to be Zeta Maul and Zeta Darth Vader leads. Those are two squads that he's going to basically be really good in. Darth Maul will guarantee those crits on his abilities when he comes out of stealth. So that very first round when he comes out of stealth and has advantage is going to guarantee that he's going to get those extra dots from that crit on his AoE. Now, you don't necessarily have to worry about advantage in order to guarantee that you're going to land a lot of crits on his special ability. And that's because you can stack his crit up to the roof. I mean, you saw that I had a really good balance of potency and crit damage, or rather crit chance on my Sidious. I didn't need, I mean, you just saw right there, I crit every single one on that squad and I didn't have advantage. So Darth Sidious has the ability to really land a lot of crits and land them consistently. So if you are concerned about his crit abilities, I mean, you shouldn't have those qualms at all. You shouldn't have any worries at all. So running him behind Vader is awesome. Not only is he going to get the offense boost from a Vader lead, he's going to be adding to Vader's Zeta if you have him Zeta. And that just makes Vader that much more awesome. If you run Darth Sidious under Vader, you're basically... you're just going to be watching the dots stack up. It's crazy. And that brings me to another point. If you run Darth Vader Zeta in the Rancor, Darth Sidious is incredible. I solo the Rancor with Zeta Darth Vader, Zeta Darth Sidious, because Darth Sidious special, I mean, it's critting almost every single time you use it, which means you're stacking so many dots, so that when Vader does come around and do his culling blade, it just makes it makes that culling blade do crazy amounts of damage. So if you are really wanting to run a solo squad on the Rancor, Darth Sidious is your man. He's going to make that possible for you. In fact, the strategy that I use when I solo the Rancor is on the door down phases. I basically wait for the door down phases on phase 2 and phase 3 before I even use Culling Blade. So I won't use Culling Blade on the Rancor at all. I will only stack the dots. So every time Force Crush and his AoE comes up, or rather Sidious AoE comes up, I only use those abilities. I do not use Culling Blade because I don't want to remove the speed down from the Rancor. And so then I basically just focus on keeping the turn meter stripped from the Rancor until the next door switch comes back up. And then I time the door switch to, taking out the door switch to the point where Darth Vader either has only one turn left on Force Crush, or Force Crush is off cooldown, and Darth Vader will be the next character to move after I take out the door switch. So that the first ability I use after I take out the door switch is going to be Culling Blade. And then, at that point, Vader is usually fast enough, and always fast enough, to get one more ability off before the Rancor comes out of that stun, and that ability is going to be Force Crush. In the meantime, the other characters I'm using on my Zeta Rancor squad is TIE Fighter Pilot Rex and Qui-Gon Jinn. TIE Fighter Pilot is there for the tenacity down, because you want to make sure that you're stacking as many dots and you want to keep that speed down, and you definitely want to be able to get Qui-Gon Jinn and Rex stripping the turn meter from the Rancor. So TIE Fighter Pilot's there for the tenacity down. I know that I'm kind of talking about a Zeta Vader, but for me, Darth Sidious Zeta is a huge piece of that Darth Vader solo Rancor squad, because he has so much utility, because he adds so much extra damage to that Culling Blade, because he is a Sith, he's also stripping turn meter. He's just an all-around useful character under a Zeta Vader squad. So if you were going to Zeta Vader, it's almost obligatory that you go and Zeta your Darth Sidious immediately right after. He should be the next Zeta that you actually apply or collect if you do Vader for your first Zeta. So what about a Darth Nihilus lead? Is Darth Sidious really good on a Darth Nihilus squad? Yes and no. He's not good because he has so much base crit that you're just not getting the benefit of, And you're not going to get any of the extra dots from his special attack under a Darth Nihilus lead because he can't crit. Darth Nihilus prevents Sith crits. But on the flip side, the health gain mechanic built into Sadistic Glee, Darth Sidious gets a huge amount of health back whenever a unit dies in the battle. And since Darth Nihilus converts all protection into health, that health gain is even more ridiculous. So Darth Sidious is not optimum under a Darth Nihilus lead. However, there are worse characters to run under a Darth Nihilus lead. For example, non-Sith. So I would definitely not put him in the top Sith to run under Nihilus. So that about wraps up my roster review of Darth Sidious. I'm going to be doing a roster review on Kylo Ren and Asajj Ventress next. Kylo Ren because he got my 4th Zeta, and Asajj Ventress because she's one of my favorite original roster review characters. Speaking of which, when I first started making videos, like I said, over a year ago, the game was vastly different. It has changed so much that I really need to go back and re-attack a lot of those old roster review videos. So if you have a character that you want me to review, let me know in the comments section below, and I will do my best to make a review of that character off of my roster. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Like, favorite, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server, and I will catch you all later.